Have you ever felt this quiet, undeniable truth in your body? The life I'm living is too small for who I've become. But you have no idea how to cross that invisible line into your next chapter. Many high-functioning women reach a point of life transition where the old identity no longer fits. What once worked no longer feels true. For many, this moment shows up as a midlife awakening, a realization that the life they built no longer reflects who they are becoming. Today, you're not just going to hear about transformation, you are going to experience it. We're exploring the power of a modern rite of passage for women navigating life transitions. Stay with us because in this conversation, my guest will actually guide you through a live inner threshold exercise, a mini rite of passage, so you can feel in your own body the difference between trying to fix yourself and finally stepping into the woman your whole life has been preparing you to be. Welcome back to Awaken Your Authentic Self. I'm your host, Jessica Rooks, and this space is for the tender-hearted, powerful souls who know they're here for a deeper, truer life, one that your nervous system, your spirit, and your body can all say yes to. On this show, we explore spiritual awakening, healing in life's deepest thresholds, from identity shifts and soul purpose to somatic healing, subconscious reprogramming, karma, past lives, and the universal laws that shape our journey. Thank you for sharing your time, your presence, and your energy with us today. Whether you're walking, driving, or curled up with a cup of tea, I'm honored to be in your ears. Today's guest is someone whose work lives at the intersection of ancient mystery and very real grounded change. Niels Vantzuriel is a Rite of Passage facilitator who has spent over a decade guiding women into Ireland's wild landscapes and forgotten sacred sites. Far from the tourist paths, he leads profound spiritual ceremonies that help women navigate life transitions, step into empowerment, and embrace the next chapter of their lives. Through ritual and transformation, hypnosis, storytelling, Celtic wisdom, and a deep, trauma-aware whole being approach, Niels doesn't offer retreats. He creates initiations, carefully held journeys where capable, high-functioning women stop circling the edge of their next chapter and finally step into it. And if you're someone navigating a life transition right now, you may also want to explore our episode, Past Lives and How They Shape Your Healing in the Now, because many of the thresholds we face in this lifetime are deeply connected to the soul patterns we carry forward. Niels, welcome to Awaken Your Authentic Self, and thank you so much for being here with us.
Jessica, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm looking forward to this one, and I'll definitely be checking out that episode that you just mentioned. That actually sounds rather fascinating.
It really was. Please do so. Well, I'm really excited to go deep with you today, though, especially around this idea that transformation doesn't have to collapse when we go back to our ordinary lives. So let's begin at the core of how you see this work. You describe your work as not a retreat, but an initiation. On a nervous system and psychological level, what actually makes an experience an initiation rather than a beautiful trip or cathartic ceremony? And how did you have to change your own life to be able to hold that kind of depth for other people?
Oh, wow. Oh, I love this. Okay, let's dive in. First up, we'll get to my story in just a bit. What I've been finding is people who want to change, you've got levels to this. You've got people that are comfortable, that are happy, that have a good life, but they're looking for just a little bit more of an excitement. And then they read about our work and they go like, yes, I want to come to Ireland. Ireland always has had this mystical pull for people. And they come and they don't really prepare and they have a fantastic time. But because they didn't do the preparation, because the need, the hunger wasn't there, we can do all of our magic that we can do. But the work that we do is a dance. It is a two-way street. So if you do not show up with that absolute hunger and conviction within yourself that I need to change, this is the end of the road for me. I'm willing to go to literally the edge of the world because that's where we're located. We're located where the mountains tumble into the Atlantic Ocean at the very edge of the old world. That's where we are, on an island off the main continent. And it feels that way. If you are needing to go that far off the beaten path, you've got something inside of you that really needs to change.
Right.
And the places that we have here, they facilitate that. Ireland is absolutely dotted with sacred sites, with liminal places, but a lot of them are completely overrun by either tourists or they've been stripped of their magic in one way or another. But if you go to the very edge of the country, into the mountains, you do a little bit of hiking, you get your sweat on, then there are still places that are brimming with power. So the people that we take there, they are not just looking for an Instagram selfie. They are not just looking for, something to tick off my bucket list.
Right.
The sentence that we get over and over and over again from the people that we work with is, I knew I needed to be here. To the extreme point where we've got people from completely different ethnicities going to the sacred sites, and the moment that they crest that hill and they see the site for the first time, their jaw hits the floor and go like, I remember this place.
Wow.
No connection to Ireland whatsoever. I remember this place. And then we're off to the races. So honestly, it's, if you're looking for just a spiritual holiday or a sacred tour, that's not the level that we're dealing with here.
Right.
So it really depends upon what you bring, and if you bring the right stuff. Which honestly, it's a lot of bravery, a lot of honesty, and a lot of deep digging. Then outright miracles, life-changing stuff can happen. Now, between you and me, Jessica, and I know I'm rambling on, but let's just tackle this. Life-changing, that word is bandied about so much in our modern day lives, as in,
Yes.
we're going to start a revolution, and then you get a pamphlet, or we've got one in the nearby town, life-changing chocolate. Now, between you and me, that chocolate is really darn good. The man knows how to make a good bonbon. But it doesn't really hit the high of life-changing. If you want to do that, if your inner being is screaming at you, we can't go on this way. This is a cul-de-sac. This is the end of the road for the way that we've been doing things. You need an approach that is not just a vacation. That's
Right.
not just a meditation. It is not just, I'm taking some psychedelics and I might see something. No, you need a whole being approach that honors that thing that wants to be birthed through. That's where we come in. That's what we do.
I love that. Now you're speaking, when you say we, we're speaking about your partner, Elizabeth, correct?
Yes, indeed. We work as a team. When you ask, okay, how did I prepare for myself that I could hold this? It was in conjunction. It was the relationship, and it is the relationship with my beloved. We've been together for 13 years now, living in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And basically, Elizabeth is one of those people, and I'm sure she doesn't mind me throwing her under the bus, but she's one of those people that is incredibly spiritual, talks and works with angels every single day, and you can feel it in her field.
I love that.
But at the same time, if you have somebody like that, incredibly high energies in what she brings, that other people, you can burn out really, really quickly. It's been uh, basically an initiation for me to be able to hold her in her changes, to ground that very high energy in, that prepared me to be able to do this. And this was very physical, as in it is hiking every single day, going into the mountains. It's heavy workouts in the local gym, eating right, just being grounded, so that whatever storm that she brings, in the best way possible, I can just be the oak.
Right.
And that very slowly started to metamorphosize in being able to basically, if I can ground her, I can ground anyone.
Well, speaking of grounding, in your own story, there's a phase of ungrounded spirituality, chasing experiences, intensity, being special,
Mm.
before you found a more embodied, mature path. For listeners who recognize themselves in that phase, what were the specific red flags in your behavior or inner world that showed you this is not it? And what were the first grounded steps that you took out of that storm?
Well, the very first one, it was all about me. It was all about me and how special I needed to be. I wasn't special in the slightest, but that need to be validated by other people of, oh, look at my experiences. As a result, I couldn't help anyone. I couldn't ground anyone. Even the listening to other people was not really listening. It was the way that this started to change for me
Mm-hmm.
was when I was leading a retreat in Russia. And we were having a fantastic time. I think this was, if I remember correctly, a 5-day retreat. And at the end, the participants could book in and do a few sessions privately. And I remember vividly this beautiful lady came to me and talk about high energies and gelling. This lady up in the clouds all day, every day. The locals called her a saint.
Mm.
And if you were close to this lady, you could understand why. Very ethereal, beautiful to look at, beautiful energies. There was just one little problem. She had a daughter. The daughter was going through puberty and falling in with the wrong crowd. And this lady, this saint, could not get back down to earth again, no matter how much she tried to be able to be there for her daughter, which was a real issue at that moment.
Right.
From that moment on forward, it started to become clear to me the way that I am doing things is not grounded enough. I need to be here in the physical. At the time, I used to have a phrase. It's not really something that I'm using anymore, but to give you an idea, if this is a dream, then surely we are meant to be dreaming. So I'm going to dream the best life that I can, meaning I am not going to forsake the physical. I'm
Right.
going to be here. And from that moment on forward, I basically threw over everything and started to change both in my physicality and what I was starting to do in everyday life. So being physical was one of the biggest steps that I needed to take, changing diet, all of that, to be able to ground the connection that I had with upstairs.
Right.
The way that we are doing that nowadays is we go hiking, we go up into the mountains. Um, you will slip and slide and go on your ass. I don't know if I can say that word, but there you go.
That's
That's just
okay.
the nature.
I may not curse, but
The
we're
nature.
grown.
Okay. We can handle this stuff. So you will slip and slide and go on your high knee as you're hiking up into the mountains here. But you need to get physical before you do anything else. When you approach a sacred site, people oftentimes here, they go to a place that they find in a tourist book, they drive up, they walk 5 minutes, and they sit down and expect something to happen.
Right.
Number one, I don't think that works in any sacred sites, but Ireland specifically, there's an etiquette here, a spiritual etiquette for the places to be able to work with them. Now we can double click on that a little bit later if you want to, But one of the things that is far more helpful is if you approach these places the way that the ancients used them, the way that they were meant to be used. And that means walking to them. They didn't have cars back then.
Right.
They walked from one valley to the next. Usually, this was an undertaking of a couple of days. You had your rations with you, and as you're walking, anybody who's ever hiked,
Oh.
you're getting into a different state of mind, a different consciousness. If you approach a site from that consciousness, there might be something that starts to happen from there. And that's how we approach these places.
I love that. Absolutely. Once you're walking and you're out in nature for a while, it's just that I think just the nature around you just begins to ground you.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, it does.
Well, Niels, you work almost exclusively with capable, high functioning women who feel that the life they're living has grown too small. From what you've seen over a decade, what is the one pattern in their relationships, work, or inner dialogue that most reliably tells you she's standing at a threshold, even when she still thinks that she just needs a small tweak or maybe another training?
God, that's a good one. We get women from every kind of walk of life. The standard through line is highly successful. They've done the work, they've got the successful life. Honestly, if you find yourself with us, that's a pretty good sign. But all silliness aside and all jokingness aside, it's difficult to say because they are all so different, and we work with everyone on a one-on-one basis to meet them exactly where they're at. So they offer completely different things.
Right.
But now that I'm thinking about it, on the one hand, there is this, it's a very fragile balance between, on the one hand, they're terrified because they know darn well if I keep on doing things that I am doing right now, I'm going to blow up. This can't go on anymore. But if I do go ahead and jump into this larger version that I feel that is there, that is screaming in my ear, there's also a very good chance that I'm going to blow up my life. Because the life that I've built won't be able to hold it, this new thing that is going to. So they're terrified. Right. Balance that with, on the other side, I need to do this. We talked before. They say, I knew I needed to come to Ireland. That's the place. But so that's the where. But the why is a inner knowing. I need to do this. I don't see any other way to do this. And these people have tried things before.
Right.
They've done the ayahuasca ceremonies. They've done the therapy, the self-help books, the weekly retreats. And it's just the wrong tool for what they are trying to achieve for themselves. So terrified, but also a very deep knowing. This is now or never. It has to be done.
That is a very clear way to describe it. I actually can relate to that. I feel like I kind of went through that a little bit before I did my life transition. And it just felt like if I don't make a change, things are not going to end well. But if I do make a change, I don't know what's going to happen. So you just kind of just jump into the unknown and hope for the best.
It's almost as if they're drowning. It's life or death oftentimes. That's what it feels like, that gasping for air or the desperately trying to break through to that next level. And it feels like you're needing to break through.
Right.
Yeah, those are the words that are being shared.
Before we continue, I'd love to share something from Luna and Verse Studio. If today's conversation is resonating with you, I'd love to share another way these messages can stay with you long after the episode ends. I created Luna and Verse Studio because I believe that sometimes the words we need to hear most are the ones we choose to wear. Every collection begins with a message, a reminder of who you are, what you're becoming, and the journey you're walking. If you'd like to visit the studio, you can visit the collection through the link in today's show notes. And now, let's get back to today's conversation. Well, you often say these journeys are carefully held from first contact to returning home, so the change doesn't collapse under old patterns. Can you walk us through in concrete terms how you designed that containment from preparation to the time in Ireland to integration? And maybe share a moment when that structure literally kept someone's transformation from falling apart?
Yeah. So first, the practical. Um, we only work with 20 people, 20 women per year. We just don't have more space. So when we are all in agreement and when we select someone to come and work with us, it is a very strict regiment or a very strict framework within which you can flow. The framework is a minimum of 6 weeks of preparational work where you start the initiation, where you start a rite of passage and you set time aside. Yes, I am doing this for myself because I know what's going to happen if I don't. And you start that descent into the underworld. Then it's about 6 to 8 days minimum with us in Ireland, where we take you to the sacred sites. We do so much work. We do such an incredible amount of work, both at the sacred sites, but even just laughing in a car. You're truly in a liminal space. And then we guide you for at least another 3 months afterwards to make sure that the changes that you've pulled through when you were with us, all that preparational work that you did with us, that you are witnessed and that you are held and encouraged while you are back in your old life. Why do we do this? We call this a rite of passage, and it is a ceremony that the ancients knew. Our forefathers were very well aware that we do not stay the same person throughout our lives. We change, and sometimes those changes are massive. So they created something that was a huge ceremony to be able to guide a person from who they were to who they needed to become. We now, in anthropology, call that a rite of passage. So think about a young boy needing to become a skilled hunter, or you have had your children and you're now going into menopause or even beyond, and you're starting to get into that eldership role for not just your family, but for your whole tribe. That is a huge difference in how you need to show up and how the surrounding tribe needs to hold you. Now, these rites of passage you had multiple during your lifetime. In our modern day life, we really only have one that is worth the name, and that's a wedding.
Right.
Basically, before, if we're talking about a woman, you were a maiden, you were engaged, there was a certain way that society expected you to behave. And once you are married, we as a society now hold you to different standards, which makes it for you, the person who went through the wedding, far easier to step into that role because you're being witnessed and the whole surrounding tribe holds you to that new role. But other than that, all of the other changes that we have, we no longer have that. Some of the changes that we go through are way bigger than just a marriage, just becoming, and I'm with all of the caveats and quotation marks, just becoming a wife. There are changes that the women that come to us hold that have been gestating their whole lives. And I mean that quite literally. They've carried this stuff for their whole life. So it's an even bigger change. So it needs a long time of pulling it through and then being witnessed. Our awareness is how we make things sacred in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing someone or being seen, that you are putting the changes and that new way of being into practice in your day-to-day life. Normally, let's say you go on an ayahuasca trip. Now, caveat here, I have nothing against ayahuasca, absolutely nothing. I myself have partaken in one or two psychedelics in my day. Better yet, when we are walking from August to the first frost date, we come across psilocybin mushrooms here in the mountains all day, every day. The Liberty caps, the local sheep will have they have a fun time, if you will, when they're crossing those fields. They're high as a kite. So I've got nothing against psychedelics, but what you nowadays see in South America is a cottage industry where people go through the ceremony. They have truly a life-altering vision, experience, and then they're put back on the plane,
Right.
going like, good luck, figure it out.
Right.
It is so easy when you come back to your old life where the people expect you to be the exact same person that you've always been, for
Fall
those
right
changes
back
to
in.
just
Hmm.
exactly. And then your mind is just going to treat it as a nice dream, as a nice
A
experience.
nice vacation.
Or exactly. You might even start to doubt, did that really happen?
Right.
For that, you need that scaffolding. You need that somebody walking along with you and integrate and holding you to that new version that you want it to be. That is the way that you implement change. You put time aside. You go into the underworld. You do your work there. Some people go and die in the underworld. Others retrieve their power. It depends upon the woman. It really does. And then you come out on the other side and that fertile ground that you've now made, you start to plant those seeds and you water them and you tend to those new ways of being with all the tools that we give you.
I love how intentional and grounded that is. And I want to make sure that our listeners get to feel a little taste of that threshold work in their own bodies, even if they're just listening at home. So, for someone listening right now who feels that quiet truth, the life I'm living is too small for who I've become, can you guide us through a brief inner threshold exercise as I promised them in the beginning? A mini arrival moment, a mini arrival method moment to be specific, that helps them feel the difference between A, trying to fix themselves, and B, stepping into the woman their whole life has been preparing them to be.
Let's do it. I've got the biggest smile on my face. This is the stuff that I love to do. So yeah, let's get
Let's
into it.
do it.
All right. First up, for the women listening, thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the trust to at least consider us walking side by side for even just a few minutes. First up, do not be driving. No operating of heavy machinery. I just want you to sit somewhere where you are nice and comfortable. And you will not be disturbed for just a few minutes. Also, just make sure that there are no pointy edges of furniture surfaces nearby. Some people actually go really deep when they go into meditation and they fall over, and we don't want to be banging our heads. So if you are nice and comfortable, I just want you to take a deep breath. Deep breath in and let it go. That was a good one. Let's do another one. Deep breath in and let it go. And as you let it go with a sigh, I just want you to stop. Stop what you're doing. Stop what you're thinking. Turn off the internal engine. Let your hands rest. Pick a spot on the wall close by, above eye level, and start to focus on it. Focus, keep focus, keep focus. Little strain on the eyelids. Keep focus, keep focus. Deep breath in. Hold it for a count of 1, 2, 3. Let it go with a sigh. Close your eyes all the way down, down, deeper, deeper down. That's right. You're doing really good. And as the relaxation starts to go through your body, I just want you to notice, to feel the hum of exhaustion running through your body. Quiet fatigue of constantly trying to fix, improve, and become. Just want you to notice it. That exhaustion that you feel, it belongs entirely to your personality. Personality is the armor that you built. It's the brilliant collection of strategies of your intellect and sheer willpower that you've used until now to survive, to build your life, and to achieve the success that you have today. And I want you to take a moment right now and genuinely thank your personality. Acknowledge it. It got you this far. It did a beautiful, heroic job of just keeping you safe and moving you forward. But your personality was never meant to carry you the rest of the way. Another deep breath in. Hold it for a count of 3, 2, 1. Let it go with a sigh and go down twice as deeper down. Just sinking and drifting as you bring your attention even deeper. Beneath the noise of the personality, feel the deep, undeniable gravity of something else. The gravity of your presence. This is the truer, vaster architecture of who you actually are. It is the unyielding force you've been carrying inside your whole life, and it's waiting to be born. The reason you are so exhausted is that you have been trying to force the massive weight of your true presence through the narrow bottleneck of your personality. This is the before. This is the striving. As you're sitting here right now, completely relaxed, listening to my voice, breathing deeply, you can start to notice that you cannot life hack a birth. You cannot think your way into presence. The fact is that you are already in a rite of passage. It's already begun. And the only way through is surrender. Another deep breath in. And as you exhale, give yourself permission to lay the personality down. Let the version of you that constantly has to fight, strategize, and prove itself just drop to the floor. It's so tired. Just let it rest. And in the space that is left, feel a quiet shift. You are no longer managing a self-improvement project. No, you are stepping into the container of a true rite of passage. Yep, one more deep, slow breath in. And as you feel your lungs, let your presence expand into them. Let this larger being finally take up the room it deserves into your lungs, into your whole body and being. Let it settle in your bones. Feel the profound stillness of it. You don't have to try anymore. The gap is closed. So right here, right now, in the quiet of your own body, I want you to make a firm intention. Let this moment be the undeniable first step into your larger presence. The process of honoring this larger being, it's officially begun. And you are going to see this rite of passage through to the absolute end, no matter what. Not because someone told you to, but because you deeply want to. And your soul absolutely needs to. You are doing this to honor yourself. You have arrived. And with that deep knowing that your first steps have been taken, congratulations. Start to wiggle your toes, start to wiggle your fingers, slowly come back to the room, open up your eyes, feeling great, feeling wonderful. Look at the space in front of you and just notice how still it is. Notice the shift, notice the change. As you slowly come back to the room, notice the presence and know that this is just the beginning. There we go, Jessica. Hope you're still there. No banging of heads off surfaces.
No, that was wonderful. Niels, thank you. This has been incredibly powerful. I wish I had so much more time to ask you so many more questions, but this has been incredibly powerful, and I'm very grateful to you. Thank you for the depth, the honesty, and for offering our listeners a real experience, not just ideas.
It's been a pleasure. It really is.
Thank you. It really has been. Before we close, though, I'd love for people who are feeling that pull toward a rite of passage with you to know where they can go next. So where can they find you online, learn more about sacred rites of passage, and explore your arrival method journeys?
So I'm sure that Jessica will share our link down below in the description. You can go to adventuresiinquietplaces.info. That's all one word. Adventures in Quiet Places and then the .info. That's where you'll find the arrival method. From there, you can connect with us. There will be buttons there to connect with me and Elizabeth. And we'll just have a talk to see, hey, are we a good fit? The last little note that I'll add here is what we do is we use different methods to get into your subconscious, and we do so very effectively. There's a little warning here that I want to leave your audience with. There are so many ways that you can get into your subconscious that we know about now. Driving, reading a good book, dancing until you drop, having a good intimate session with your partner, all are fantastic ways to get into your subconsciousness. There are also ways that are less obvious, and one of them is if you are in a new situation with an authority figure, your subconscious mind is wide open. And I just want to give the heads up to your listeners. Whenever you are in a new situation, that can be in a new place or just learning something new, couple that with being connected to an authority figure, your subconscious mind is wide open and ready to take on new commands. Now, we use that for good. I'm just saying, hey, maybe there's another little thing that you can take along from this talk. Is be very aware whenever you're learning something new with an authority figure, what else are they telling you? Because your subconscious mind is listening. Couple that with maybe an intensive workout. Like we said, we do hiking. But if you do some strenuous exercises ahead of or combined with that, your subconscious is even more wide awake. Think the military when they throw you through boot camp. New information, new situation, authority figure, they're exhausted. Yep, the subconscious mind is wide open and people change in that way. Just be aware that that is something that you can bump into in everyday life. Again, we use it for good. Just have your guards up out there. Adventuresinquietplaces.info. I hope that was helpful, Jessica.
Yes, it was. And I will definitely be sure to have all of those links in the show's description. Thank you so much. To everyone listening, thank you for sharing your time, your attention, and your beautiful energy with us today. If that threshold exercise stirred something in you, don't rush past it. Pause after this episode, put a hand on your heart or your belly, and just notice what part of you is done living a life that's too small. If this conversation spoke to your soul, I invite you to follow or subscribe to Awaken Your Authentic Self. Share this episode with one woman in your life who is standing at a threshold. And if you're listening on YouTube, drop a comment and tell us what truth did your body show you during the exercise. Your reflections, they help the algorithm find more people who need this medicine, and they also help us shape future episodes for you. So until next time, may you honor the thresholds in your life and keep awakening your authentic self.